I couldn't believe my eyes. Bakula put the bottle of poison to his lips and...
Master!
We were so shocked at what we were seeing. All we could do is stand there and watch.
Es ist so schrecklich, dass er Proteinpulver trinkt.
But as if it were the most natural thing in the world, Bakula was as calm as ever.
Ugh, that tastes awful.
Oh no! Master's in real trouble! You have to drink some water! You can't just swallow powder! It'll stick to your throat!
Idiot! He just swallowed poison! We need to make him spit it out!
The flavor certainly makes me want to spit it out. What's so high quality about this stuff?
Ja, das musst du Hina fragen. Die ist die einzige hier, die davon noch Ahnung hat.
I'm talking about the protein, of course.
Protein? Can I see that bottle for a second?
Sure. Do whatever you like.
Kyoko took the bottle from Bakula and scraped. Also scrapped oder scraped? Scraped out, ne? A bit of the contents with one finger. She touched her finger with her tongue. Sexy.
This is... it's protein powder.
Correct. That wasn't poison in the bottle, but harmless protein powder. Which makes one wonder, the poison that should have been in that bottle, where did it go?
The bottle of poison was actually
Da,
filled
wo
with protein powder.
Da, wo das Proteinpulver eigentlich hingehört.
Die müssen ja aber noch eine dritte Flasche benutzt haben, um das umzufüllen, ne?
Das ist vielleicht die auf dem Boden lag.
Ja. Ja, aber die war doch... Achso, da lag noch eine... Stimmt. The bottle of poison was actually filled with protein powder. Which would mean that conversely the poison must have been in... Could it be? Nein! Echt? Sie wurde vergiftet? Da bin ich ja nie drauf gekommen.
Protein Drink. T-E-N.
Nee, halt, das I haben wir...
D. I. N.
Das ging schnell.
Ja, aber dafür, dass du Proteindrink innerhalb von 0,5 Sekunden denkst und das jetzt schon wieder 10 Sekunden gedauert hat, ist es vergleichsweise trotzdem immer noch langsam, wie Makoto denkt.
It seems only logical to assume the reverse is true, right?
Absolutely. The contents of each container were switched. So the protein was in the bottle of poison, and the poison was in the protein can. Once you accept that, it becomes obvious how the culprit was able to get Sakura to drink the poison.
Holy crap!
All they had to do was hand her something there at the scene, and she was happy to drink the poison herself.
Something at the scene.
A protein drink.
I got it! You're saying they gave her a protein drink, right?
A protein drink which actually contained a deadly poison.
What?
That's all it took to kill Sakura. That is the true cause of death.
Jetzt kommt Sina, hat ihr das gegeben, aber die wusste nicht, dass das ausgetauscht wurde.
You know, I do remember Ogre saying that protein stuff was good for all kinds of aches and pains. So maybe she took it to try and help with the whole bleeding head wound thing.
Oder sie hätte die so oder so getrunken.
Ja.
But what was offered to her instead was a bottle full of poison. And I already know exactly who swapped the mixtures.
For real? Who was it?
Evidence revealing who replaced the two materials was left in the chem lab for anyone to see.
Ja, das muss sie selber gewesen sein. Also war es ja Selbstmord irgendwie.
Ja, aber sie hat wahrscheinlich, wie du das gesagt hast, ist Hina.
Ist halt die Frage, wie das gezählt
Ihr
wird
das
von
geben
Monokuma, ne?
Ich glaube, es gab auch in einem anderen Teil einen ähnlichen Fall und da war derjenige, der das Gift benutzt hat, der Täter.
The evidence that shows who switched them. It has to be... Must be what we found on the shelf.
Das Pulver?
We found on the shelf?
Nein, nicht da. Die Flasche da vor dem Shelf.
Hä? Das verwirrt mich jetzt gerade, wie die Frage...
Oder die Footsteps.
I got it!
Okay.
The footprints left behind in front of the shelf. That's the evidence you're talking about, isn't it?
I visited the chem lab this morning, and there were definitely no footprints there at that point.
Aber das Pulver war da trotzdem schon.
Mhm.
Oder was?
Hä?
Er sagt nur, da waren
They
keine
must have
Footprints.
appeared around the time of the murder, which leaves no doubt that they're connected. What's more, the footprints were in front of Section A, where I found the bottle meant for the poison. The culprit must have gone to Section A to swap the poison and protein, leaving their footprints behind. And given how clear the prints were, figuring out who they belong to will pose no problem. All we have to do is check everyone's footprints right now. Then we'll see who...
It was me.
Dum, dum, dum. Oh Gott.
The footprints. They're mine.
Hina?
If you're all gonna find out anyway, I'd rather you hear it straight from me, you know?
Then Ogre's killer was...
Yep,
What?
I did it. I killed Sakura.
Just as I suspected. The footprints were made by a pair of sneakers. There was no mistaking it. And the only people here who wear sneakers are...
Sneakers, huh? The only people wearing sneakers here are...
Makoto und Hina muss ja sein.
Yeah.
I got it! Me and
Und
Hina are the
Sakura.
only ones. Oh, so Byakuya. That explains why you...
Rückblendengelaber.
If the footprints didn't belong to Makoto, that left only one other possibility.
Sakura.
Just Hina.
Plus,
Holy
Hina's
shit.
been acting strange ever since the trial began.
Fand ich jetzt nicht. Also ich fand, das hat sich ziemlich typisch nach Hina-Verhalten angefühlt.
You were in an awful rush to get to the vote, weren't you? This whole time, you've been focused on pinning the crime on someone else, haven't you?
Ey, das könnt ihr mir doch jetzt nicht antun.
I can't believe it.
What about it can't you believe?
Well, it's just... The two of them were so close.
Meinst du, so wie du und Sayaka?
That's likely exactly why it turned out this way.
Das muss sehr schwer für dich sein, der Class Trial jetzt.
Ja.
Because they were so close, Sakura didn't think twice about it when Hina handed her the concoction. Hina used that trust to kill her. She deceived the victim, and she tried to deceive all of us.
Ja, die einzige Hoffnung, die ich jetzt halt noch habe, ist, dass die halt trotzdem noch alle am Ende leben, weil wir ja diese Fotos hatten.
I have to say, Hina, coming from you, this was a particularly nasty little scheme.
Hina, is it true? Did you really kill Sakura? And if you did, why? Why would you do that?
I found her. There in the rec room. She was hurt. She asked me to bring her that protein drink. But when I went to get the powder from the chem lab, it just occurred to me all of a sudden.
Now's my chance to kill her. That's what you thought, right? That's when you switched out the protein powder, and that's when you gave her the poisoned mixture.
Das passt aber gar nicht zu ihr in diesem Moment das zu denken plötzlich.
And then she downed it all at once. And then
Hold it.
Irgendwas stimmt da doch nicht.
I'm not convinced.
You're not about to claim she wouldn't kill a close friend, are you? You still don't get it, do you? The game we're playing here isn't so kind. Honeyed words like friendship don't matter here. What matters is outwitting the opponent, defeating them.
The power of friendship. Natürlich mattert das. Das
Ja,
ist ein Anime.
das Pulver muss doch vorher schon da gelegen haben. Das heißt, da muss ja doch schon vorher irgendwie das ausgetauscht worden sein.
Ja.
Aber warum gibt Hina das jetzt hier so zu?
Ja, das verstehe ich auch nicht. Vor allem ist doch offensichtlich, wir haben doch Spuren von dem Pulver auf Sakuras Füßen gefunden.
Ja.
Just like how this girl sacrificed Sakura to save herself.
You say that, but I'm still not convinced.
How many times do you plan to repeat yourself?
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying it because of some misguided sentimentalism. But there's still that one unsolved mystery, and I'm not convinced.
Are you talking about the locked room problem?
Ach ja, das ist ja auch noch, ne?
Hina, if you really are the killer, explain it. How did you create that locked room?
well, that doesn't matter. Just because I'm guilty, that means I have to tell you everything?
No, it doesn't. But the fact that you won't tell us concerns me.
Surely you're not... Do you honestly think Hina didn't actually kill her?
And
Vor
if I
allem,
do?
ich weiß nicht, warum sie jetzt behauptet, das gewesen zu sein, wenn sie es nicht war. Weil dann würde Folgendes passieren.
Alle sterben.
Bis auf der Killer.
Und wenn es Selbstmord war, dann ist der Killer Sakura selbst gewesen und in dem Fall... Ja, was ist da? Da sind einfach nur alle tot.
Vielleicht will sie ja, dass wirklich alle sterben.
Oh Mann.
Impossible. She switched out the mixtures. She's the culprit. There's no way you can doubt this.
Are you sure about that?
Stell dir vor, Sakura hat's geswitcht, damit Hina aus Versehen ihr das gibt und sie hat das dann wieder zurückgeswitcht.
Ich glaube, ich pack da jetzt mal Gift rein und dann packt sie da das echte Proteinpulver rein und gibt dir das. Warum passiert da nichts?
Aber dann würde sie ja nur leben.
Even ignoring the fact that I don't want to believe it, it just doesn't fit.
What doesn't fit?
I mean, why would someone leave such a clear clue like a footprint? It's too obvious, too easy.
He's right. It makes it look like you wanted people to suspect you.
That was... I was just nervous. So, I didn't notice I'd left a footprint.
Es hat ja schon gut geklappt mit dem Ablenken. Ihr habt eine halbe Stunde drüber diskutiert, wer von den beiden Leuten sie K.O. geschlagen hat.
Ja.
You didn't notice?
Yeah, that's just how it was. What can I do?
Listen, Hina. Could you go into a bit more detail? Tell us more about when you switched the poison and the protein.
How come? That doesn't matter.
Hina, please, I'd like to know too.
Vielleicht hat sie einfach wirklich begriffen, dass das ein Selbstmord war und sie gibt jetzt allen anderen die Schuld dafür, dass das ein Selbstmord war.
Und
will deswegen, dass die sterben.
It's clear that Hina is the culprit. There's nobody else to suspect. Nobody else could have possibly done it.
Go ahead, Hina. Start from the moment you arrived at the chem lab.
Well, right away I went to Section C and got the poison.
And is that when you spilled the powder in front of that part of the shelf?
Yeah. When I opened the bottle, I dropped it like an idiot.
I see. Okay then, go on.
So then I moved to Section A and got the protein powder. And that's where I switched them.
Warum waren dann keine Fußabdrücke bei C?
Passt nicht so ganz.
Once I was done with that, I took the protein can that had the poison in it and left the room. But I accidentally put the bottle filled with protein powder back on the wrong shelf. And because of that, everything I did got found out. And that's it.
That story you just told. First you went to Section C to get the poison. Then moved to Section A to get the protein, right? Meaning you went from Section C to Section A. Do I have that correct?
Yeah.
But if that's true, isn't that a little strange?
Can you repeat that series of events one more
Oh,
time?
warum denn, Makoto?
Weil das nun mal so braucht.
What's wrong with you, Big Mac? You're being awfully pushy.
Awfully
It's the same
stupid.
thing no matter how many times you hear it. How long until you're satisfied?
Ja.
How long?
Es geht immer noch.
Until I'm satisfied? Oh Mann.
How long until Hina is satisfied? Meinst du?
Until we figure it out. Until I uncover the truth of this case. The full truth. So.
The full truth.
Truth!
The truth, the full truth and nothing but the truth.
Footprints in the powder. Source of the powder.
First I went to Section
Footprints,
C.
würde ich sagen.
Ja.
That's when I grabbed the poison.
And you spilled some of the powder on the ground in front of the shelf.
Yeah. When I grabbed the bottle, I dropped it.
Okay, and then?
I moved from Section C
Ja, da.
to Section A.
Boom!
Passt
No,
nicht.
it's wrong.
Dann hätte sie ja dahinter Fußabdrücke hinterlassen.
Ja, eben.
Hat sie
You
aber
said you
nicht.
went to get the poison from Section C. And that's where you spilled the powder, right?
Nein.
Yeah? What about it?
And after that, you said you moved from Section C to Section A to get the protein. But the footprints left at the scene were not moving from Section C to Section A.
Das ist doch von Anfang an klar gewesen.
Contradicts what you just said.
Ich habe den Part eingeleitet mit, beziehungsweise ich weiß nicht, ob das als alles ein Part wird, aber ich habe das eingeleitet mit: Willkommen zurück zu Makoto ist ein dummes Stück Scheiße und wir regen uns über alles auf, was er sagt oder tut.
Ja.
Und genau das ist dieses Spiel.
Wir haben gefühlt jetzt nicht alle Details, aber im Großen und Ganzen den Verlauf des ganzen Falls schon vorher gehabt.
No, that can't be it. Remember what Hina just said?
Alter,
Eine
das war
Rückblende von vor 5 Sekunden!
Ja.
Und so hat sie da nicht gestanden. Mit dem Hintergrund so. Verdammt, sie haben es rausgefunden.
What the?
Und sie haben rausgefunden, dass ich nicht der Mörder bin und dass ich jetzt nicht sterben muss.
What's the meaning of this? Ja, genau.
Well,
You lied to us. Plain and simple. If you look at the footprints, your movements in the chem lab are obvious. The powder had already been spilled when you came in, and you went straight to Section A. So you never went to Section C. Whatever you did there, it only involved Section A.
well, you see...
Okay, einmal eine Runde drehen. Wer will noch mal? Wer hat noch nicht?
Die Schwerkraft ist komisch. Eigentlich müssten ihre Klamotten hochrutschen, wenn sie auf dem Tisch stehen.
Ja, ne?
Darauf hast du jetzt gewartet, gibt's
Ja, auf jeden Fall.
What the hell? What's going on here?
Ihm fällt das auch auf, dass der Raum sich auf einmal gedreht hat.
And the footprints aren't the only problem with her account. Before I explain that part, I'd like to submit some new evidence.
New evidence? Impossible, there can't be.
Warum rastet er auf einmal jetzt so aus?
Meinst du jetzt sein Gesicht links? Weil er so wackelt?
Nein, ich meine, warum er jetzt so sauer deswegen ist. Entweder er ist doch verdächtig in irgendeiner Form involviert. Oder
Es
er
nervt
ist
ihn, dass das
einfach
alles
angepisst, dass er nicht den Fall gelöst hat, sondern
Ich
jemand
glaube, er
anders.
ist einfach angepisst, dass wir seit 2 Stunden oder so über völlig dumme Scheiße reden, die überhaupt nichts mit dem Fall zu tun hat.
Are you sure? After all, you're the one that gave it to me.
Ach, ich liebe diese Sätze ohne Kontext.
I did?
Ja, als
It
du
was hidden
bewusstlos
inside the
warst.
bottle of poison you gave
Das ist
me.
irgendwie creepy.
What?
I'm amazed you, of all people, would miss such a vital clue. A truly grave oversight.
Just say it already! What is it you think you found?
I found this.
Her? A piece of glass.
It had sunk to the bottom of the bottle. And the hidden clue was exposed, thanks to you ingesting the powder. I couldn't have solved the mystery without you. So, thank you
Alter,
for
das
that.
heißt, Bakula hätte wirklich sterben können, wenn er aus Versehen das Glas mitgeschluckt hätte.
Yo.
But, what is it?
Oh, you still don't realize? Well then. Makoto, why don't you explain it?
Huh? Me?
Ich raff dieses Glasstück gerade nicht so ganz.
Fine. If you really do know, explain the meaning of that shard of glass.
A shard of light blue glass Kyoko found in the bottle
Kommt
of
das
poison.
von der Tür? Von dem Fenster? Das heißt, er hat das da selber reingefüllt. Er hat schon wieder mit den Beweisen rumgespielt und hat selbst das da reingefüllt. Das Proteinpulver.
Okay.
Oder wie?
The Rec Room Window.
Ja.
Ja, das ist das Einzige, was farblich passt.
Das heißt, das kann erst da reingepackt worden sein, nachdem die Leiche gefunden haben.
Okay.
The window?
The window we broke to get in was light blue, just like that. So I think that must be it.
You're right. It must be. Of course, that leads to another question. How did a shard of glass from the window get inside this bottle of poison?
Das heißt, das ist gar nicht benutzt worden.
What's so strange about that?
What's strange is that, according to what Hina told us,
Where was it? Where was it the bottle of poison should have been when I broke the Rec Room window? According to what Hina told us. Ja, in Section A, ne?
Ja.
I got it! The bottle of poison was left on the shelf in the chem lab. That is what you said, right, Hina?
Die hat Bakula da reingestellt.
And yet, somehow a piece of glass from the rec room window made its way into the bottle.
Everything Hina told us was a lie?
In reality, that bottle of poison most definitely found its way to the rec room.
Warum war er jetzt verblüfft, dass Hina gelogen hat? Das haben wir doch 5 Minuten vorher geklärt.
Frag mich nicht mehr. Ich steig da nicht mehr durch, wie dumm die Leute sind.
It was there at least until the window got broken. In other words, when the locked room was unlocked. There's no other way to explain the presence of that glass in that bottle.
And then, once the room was opened, the bottle somehow got moved back to the shelf in the chem lab. Meanwhile, the protein can we found at the crime scene was planted there. That had to be after the locked room was opened. In other words, after Sakura died.
Wait, hold on. You're moving too fast. I'll grant you, the bottle of
Das
poison
war auch
may
wieder
well
that's
have
what
been
she
in the rec
said.
room when it was locked.
Wait, hold on, you're moving too fast.
But how can you say the protein can was put there after the room was unlocked? We already know she was given the protein can with the poison inside, right? If that can wasn't there when she died, how did she get poisoned?
Ja, das ist eine sehr gute Frage.
You're right. We do need to explain that. But before we do, there's something I'd like to confirm with everyone here.
Huh?
It has to do with the protein can. After Sakura's body was discovered, did anyone move it or trip over it or anything like that?
What are you talking about? Is this some kind of loaded question?
Nein, weil da Glasscherben drunter lagen.
Not at all. Just answer to the best of your ability.
Well, no, not that I remember.
Yeah, me either.
Not me.
Same here. Yeah, me either.
Okay then, that settles it. That proves that the protein can found its way to the murder scene after the room was opened.
Oh, come on! How can you say that? How
Da
can you
lagen
know what
Glassplitter
I don't know?
drunter.
The reason she can say that is because there's evidence. There's proof that someone
Ja,
brought the
das musst du
protein
wahrscheinlich aus
can
dem
in
Menü
the-
da
ja.
auswählen, oder? Nee,
Oder es ist eine Truce Bullet.
es ist eine Truce Bullet. Empty Protein Drink.
When it comes to
Irgendwie
that protein can,
Glaube ich muss den
not a
Hinweis
doubt
hier
in
jetzt
my
wieder
mind.
absaugen.
until the locked room was unlocked, it absolutely was not in there.
So you're saying someone planted it there after we got the door
Yeah.
open?
No. No, that's impossible. It had to have been in there the whole time. It had to be. It was in there before the rec room was unlocked.
Da hättest du, glaube ich, drauf schießen müssen.
When the locked room was unlocked, in other words, when I broke the window.
Ja,
Aber ist
When
dann
it comes
vielleicht...
to that protein can,
nein.
there's not a doubt in my
Muss
mind.
es das? Die
Ja.
Bullet sein?
Until the locked room
Ja,
was
wir haben die doch
unlocked,
untersucht und da drunter lagen
absolutely was
Scherben.
not in there.
Ja, okay.
So you're saying someone planted it there after we got the door open?
Ich hätte jetzt halt gedacht, dass es irgendwie um die Scherben
that's
direkt
impossible.
geht dann.
Ja, da haben wir
had to
keine
have
extra
been in there the
Truce
whole
Bullet
time.
gekriegt.
It had to be. It was in there before the rec room.
No, that's wrong.
Siehst du, war sogar Wong.
Jo. Immer dieser
You
Wong ist
remember
voll
how
der
there was broken
Superstar
glass
hier.
scattered all around the room, right?
Of course. It came from the window you broke to get in. What about it?
Well, those pieces weren't just scattered around the protein can. We also found pieces underneath the can.
What?
And this proves it. It shows that the can must have been put down on the floor after the window was broken. So it had to be after we got into the room.
I see. So that's your explanation. Kyoko, earlier when you asked if anyone had moved the can or tripped over it,
If that were the case, that would explain the can being on top of the glass.
So you asked everyone about it to eliminate that possibility right out of the gate.
And that's made everything clear, hasn't it? As long as it was a locked room, it only contained the bottle of poison, and not the protein can. But once the room was opened up, they were switched, and as a result, the protein can wound up in the rec room, and the bottle of poison returned to the chem lab.
if that's all true, then why did Sakura drink the poison? I thought we all agreed she was tricked into drinking it because of the protein can.
No, that's not why. The only explanation is she drank it from its original bottle, knowing exactly what it was.
Precisely. She was alone in a locked room. All she had was the poison. What other possibility is there?
You're saying she drank it knowing what it was?
Also war er jetzt nicht sauer, weil er der Täter ist, sondern er ist sauer, weil...
Weil er einfach eingebildet ist. Und dachte,
Aber
er weiß
wer hat
alles
denn dann
besser.
Er sagt doch, er hat diese leere Bottle da nicht hingepackt. Oder? Wer hat denn die dann da hingepackt?
Nina wahrscheinlich.
Ja.
Wenn du bedenkst, dass die wollte, dass wir alle sterben, indem sie fälschlicherweise gestanden hat, das gewesen zu sein.
Aber wann hat sie das gemacht? Sie war doch die ganze Zeit nachdem wir da drin waren, die ganze Zeit im... Oder hatte sie den schon vorher gehabt, den Drink? Die leere Flasche.
Stimmt.
Such a ridiculous fiction is...
Exactly what happened.
Then tell us already. Sorry. Please, tell us.
Before we get to that, we need to clarify one other thing. We need to establish who exactly got the poison from the chem lab and took it to the rec room.
It was Hina, right? She took it and gave it to Ogre.
What do you think, Makoto?
The one who got the poison from the chem lab and brought it to the rec room.
Ich würde sagen, es war Sakura selbst. Wir
Ja.
haben, weil sie hat ja auch dieses Puder auf den Füßen.
It was Sakura herself.
Huh? So Sakura, who was apparently murdered, just poisoned herself? What are you talking about? There's no way!
On the contrary, we know for a fact she went to the chem lab, right to the section full of poisons.
You're lying! Stop lying! Why? Why would you lie like that?
Du hast doch selbst gelogen.
Ja. No, it's not a lie. Sakura definitely went to Section C. Kyoko already showed me the evidence I need. Ich glaube, ich verkack's mir gerade bei Hina, ne? So ein bisschen. Now I have to hit Hina with it. I have to make her accept it.
Wenn
Oh,
It
ist wieder
jetzt...
so ein geiler Satz aus dem Kontext gerissen, ey. Nein!
Diesmal darfst du das machen.
You're a liar! What are you saying? Wrong! You're wrong! I'm telling
Wann muss
you,
man immer
I did it.
Dreieck drücken?
Ja,
Talking.
wenn die rot markiert sind.
You're a liar! Wrong! You're
Ja, aber
wrong.
sind sie doch.
Ja, und dann Dreieck drücken, um zu schießen.
Wrong. I hate you!
Ach so. Ich schieße auch, aber es ist immer so verzögert,
You're a
okay.
liar. What are you
Oder?
saying?
Ah, ich muss in dem Moment auch
You're
drücken.
wrong.
Ja, natürlich, du musst im Rhythmus drücken. Vergiss nicht, du kannst nur zweimal schießen, du musst nachladen.
Welche
Auch,
Taste war nachladen?
Viereck.
Liar! Wrong! You're wrong! Wrong! You're wrong!
Okay, dann habe ich es jetzt raus so ein bisschen.
Nachladen nicht vergessen zwischendurch.
Fuck. Ja, aber ich hab's jetzt ein bisschen mehr raus.
Ja,
so
soll ich
langsam.
jetzt wieder spielen, dass wir das
Kannst
auch
du
schaffen?
machen. Ja. Oh, Gott, ey. Ja, ich kann ja China nicht so fertig machen. So meine Ausrede.
Klar,
ne?
das war nicht, weil du einfach scheiße bist.
You're a liar! What are you saying? Wrong! You're wrong! I'm telling you, I did it! Stop talking! You're a liar! Wrong! You're wrong! Wrong! You're wrong! I hate you!
Oh,
Das sind Sätze, die höre ich nicht gern von ihr.
You're a liar! What are you saying? Wrong! You're wrong! I'm telling you, I did it! Stop talking! You're a liar!
Aber war klar, dass wir gegen sie das auch mal spielen müssen. Ich habe das Gefühl, wir müssten es wirklich gegen jeden einmal spielen.
Do you have any kind of proof Sakura took the poison?
This should prove it. Hina, did you know that Sakura's foot had a certain yellow powder stuck to it?
It did?
It did. The same yellow powder that had been spilled by the shelf in the chem lab.
ach, und sie
That
trägt
powder
Sneaker.
was yellow, wasn't it?
Mhm.
So the powder we found on Sakura, what else could it be but the powder from the chem lab?
Wait. So, what was that powder doing on Ogre's foot?
And it was only on her instep, right?
Sakura must have been standing right there where the powder was spilled. So the person who spilled the powder by the shelf wasn't Hina, but Sakura. And when Sakura dropped the bottle, she dropped it away from where she was actually standing. Which is how she was able to avoid getting it all over herself. But the powder still got scattered around, and some of it must have wound up on her instep. Is there any problem with my thinking?
But
Ja.
why did Sakura
gibt
pay a
ganz viele
visit to
Probleme mit
Section
deinen
C in the
Gedanken.
first place? The only explanation is that she was looking for poison. After all, that's all that section contained.
No! It was me! The poison! Because I killed her!
No, you didn't kill her.
One thing that killed Sakura.
Da stand da nicht.
Nee?
Da stand The One That Killed Sakura.
Ich sehe schon Worte, die gar nicht da sind. The connection between Sakura and the poison. The unsolved mystery of the locked room. There's only one way to explain it. Ja, muss ich jetzt Sakura auswählen, ne?
Die Sakuretsu-Rüstung musst du auswählen.
Here's my answer. The one who killed Sakura was Sakura herself.
What? The killer was Sakura?
Wait, so you're saying it was suicide?
Haben die nicht vor 10 Minuten oder so schon über genau das gleiche geredet? Und jetzt sind die schockiert darüber?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it any more than I believe I can fly.
I can't believe it either. Or rather, I don't want to believe it. But when you really think about it, everything matches up. Sakura went and got the poison. She barricaded herself in a room. And she drank it.
Ja, sie hat versucht mit den Leuten zu reden und ist zweimal mit so einer Flasche verprügelt worden.
All so she could end her own life. And that explains why we couldn't solve the mystery of the locked room.
Because of course Sakura wanted to... Das ist so dumm.
I got it! The locked room mystery was created by Sakura.
I'm sure she locked herself in so nobody could stop her from doing what she did. She sat there, drank the poison, and breathed her last breath. And the empty bottle of poison rolled around the locked room until we came and opened it. At that point, someone grabbed the bottle and snuck it out of the room. And that was you, wasn't it, Hina?
Ach, diese Geräusche.
You did it to throw off the investigation, didn't you? When we found her body, you stayed right there near the door. Because you already knew Sakura was dead.
Stimmt, das ist schon odd. Sie wäre eigentlich als erstes reingerannt, wie bescheuert.
And because the bottle of poison had rolled near the doorway.
That's when you picked up the bottle, right? I was too shocked to notice anything. And Kyoko was busy checking the body.
And the more I think about it, the more I realize how unusual your actions were.
Ja, ne? I have to go get them. Rückblendengelaber.
Stimmt, sie hat die anderen geholt und in der Zeit ist sie zum Camlab
You
gegangen und hat die
said you
Flasche
were going to
reingebracht.
go get everyone else.
Ah, das finde ich jetzt nicht so odd. Ich glaube, sie hat das schon mal gemacht, dass sie dann irgendwie mit der Situation umgegangen ist, indem sie irgendwie versucht hat, sich nützlich zu machen.
But
Ja, aber
your
in der Zeit
real
hat sie das
intention
gemacht.
was to go to the chem lab and switch out the containers,
Ja.
wasn't it? Once you were at the chem lab, you headed straight to the section where the protein powder was kept. There, you took the powder and poured it into the bottle of poison you'd grabbed from the rec room. When you left the lab, all you had was the empty protein can. Thinking about it like that, the footprints make perfect sense.
When you were done, you gathered everyone together. And once you were back in the rec room,
Rückblende.
Bla bla, Rückblendengedöns. Bla, bla.
Rückblendengedöns.
while everyone else was focused on Sakura, you quietly placed the can on the ground. Honestly, I should have noticed. You should have been the first one to run up to Sakura's lifeless body. The Hina I know never would have left her side in a situation like that.
So, Sakura committed suicide. In order to hide this fact, Hina undertook a series of actions to undermine the investigation. As long as you could disguise the truth, you didn't care if we blamed you for her death. That's why you didn't bother to get rid of such obvious evidence, right? The footprints in the powder and the bottle of poison, vital pieces of evidence, and yet...
So you're saying Hina consciously deceived us to make it look like she killed Sakura?
No. No. No, 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 no! I killed her! I did it!
Es ist gerade Argumentation auf dem Level von Leon.
That's enough, Hina. It's over.
Ich beweise es dir jetzt, dass es over ist. Mit diesem Comic!
Ja.
Es ist halt wirklich immer so.
It is. Actually, no. You're right. We have to end this properly.
Mit einem Comic.
Ja.
Das müssen wir jetzt mit dem gebührenden Respekt zu Ende bringen,
Also
der
Akt 1.
der Sakura zustößt.
Kommt hier das Candy Paper hin?
Ist da irgendwie Bakula auch noch, der einen Zettel kriegt?
Ja, wahrscheinlich. Ja.
Sieht aus wie so ein böser Anime-Antagonist da.
Toko sieht hier viel cuter aus als sonst.
Da ist sie in den Schrank gegangen.
Ja.
Oh, ist das, wie sie reingeht oder rausgeht? Das ist schwer zu erkennen.
Das ist wie sie spannt, würde ich sagen.
Nee,
wie sie...
ich würde das dahin
raus.
parken stattdessen.
Ja?
Und da kommt sie raus oder so.
Ja,
Ich weiß es
stimmt.
nicht.
Ey, das ist... Aber
Weiter,
wenn dann,
geh weiter, was da
wenn
noch
dann
ist.
wissen wir ja, wo... Ne?
Monokuma-Flasche irgendwie.
Aha. Nee, das ist es nicht. Warte, was ist das hier denn?
Das
Sowas
war der
kommt gar
Springer.
nicht, ne?
Der Springer war das. Oder? Mach erstmal weiter mit dem anderen.
Genau, er hatte den Neid.
Ja. Da hat er Toko reingeschrieben.
Genau.
Und dann ist er weggerannt. Das sieht sehr lustig aus.
Und dann kam Toko,
hat Toko
wieder...
das gesehen? Die kam aus dem Schrank raus.
Ah. Und
Hat
hat
das
sie wieder
da falsch rum
zurückgetan. So.
zurückgepackt.
Dann hier die andere Figur.
Nein,
Nee.
die andere Figur ist
Genau, das ist dieses
die
hier.
Queen. Dann ist sie
So.
aufgewacht. Das Poison genommen.
Ja.
Und dann
Dann
haben
sind
sie
die
die gefunden.
aufgetaucht.
Zack, da hat Hina das gefunden. Hat's eingesteckt.
Und am Ende hat sie das mitgenommen. Genau. Ja. Das sollte so passen, ne? Reenacten wir mal, ne?
Here's exactly what happened. This case began when Sakura asked a number of people to meet her in the rec room. Specifically, those people were Hiro, Toko, and Byakuya.
Der heißt Bakula. Kannst du nicht richtig reden?
But one of them headed out a bit earlier than the others. Toko. She got there one step ahead of everyone else and looked around for a good hiding spot.
Dann
Dann sollt ihr eure
ja, dann muss das...
Darstellungen besser machen.
Ja. Ich meine, da ist
Meine
zweimal was
Fresse.
mitten im Schrank.
So, dann kommt das dahin.
Ey, die zeigen zweimal den Schrank. Woher soll man wissen, welches davon das Reingehen und welches das Rausgehen ist?
Ist so.
Das eine, das da, sieht viel weniger nach Verstecken aus als das andere.
Ist so.
But one of them headed out a bit. She got there one step ahead of every... And she found it. She crawled into the locker to get out of sight. Then, from inside the locker, she saw Sakura enter the room. Next to arrive was Hiro.
Die Pose, die Sakura da hat.
so eine Player-Pose. irgendwie.
Ja.
When he got there, he mistakenly thought Sakura was going to try to kill him, so he panicked. Without thinking, he grabbed a nearby Monokuma bottle and attacked Sakura with it.
Wie traurig das ist. Sakura wusste ja gar nicht, dass Hiro das jetzt nur aus Reflex für Selbstverteidigung gemacht hat. Sie dachte, das war kaltblütig.
Ja. Und von Toko dachte sie das auch.
He hastily began covering up his crime. He took a magazine from the table and forged a dying message from Sakura. To that end, he wrote down a name. Toko. By writing her name, he was hoping to pin the murder on her. But of course, Toko had witnessed the whole thing. So as soon as the coast was clear, she jumped out of the locker and hid the magazine on the shelf with all the others.
Aber sie hat's falsch rum reingepackt.
But in her rush, she made one little mistake. She put the magazine back upside down. Soon after, she watched as Sakura slowly opened her eyes. She also saw the blood dripping off Sakura's head.
Das sieht aus, als würde Sakura sie wie so ein Baby in den Armen halten.
This caused her personality to switch back over to Genocide Jack. When she woke back up, her second personality also saw the blood-soaked Sakura, and she freaked out. And just like Hiro, she grabbed another Monokuma bottle and attacked her.
Mensch, diese Monokuma-Bottles müssen entfernt werden. Die sind sehr beliebte Mordinstrumente.
Ja.
Ich glaube, dafür waren die nicht gedacht.
This explains why there were 2 wounds on Sakura's head. Assuming Sakura really was dead this time, she set about disposing of the evidence.
Und die haben halt nicht mal gereicht als Mordwaffe. 2 davon haben nicht mal gereicht.
She gathered up the broken Monokuma bottle shards and the
Diese
clean chest
Zeichnung. als würde sie auf irgendeinen so Wirbel draufstehen irgendwie.
Ja, wie diese Comics, wo sich halt die Füße so drehen wie Propeller.
But even after those 2 blows, she was still alive. So then, what was Sakura's actual cause of death? It was the poison that Sakura herself got from the chem lab. She turned the rec room into a true locked room scenario, and then drank the deadly mixture. And there, she took her final breath. Later on, the rest of us discovered that her body was in there.
Was ich nicht verstehe ist, warum hat sie das Gift genommen und dann aber diese Verabredung mit den Leuten gehabt? Für den Fall, dass genau das passiert, oder was?
Okay, sie hat die Verantwortung. Keine Ahnung.
Ich meine, sie blickt durch ihren Plan halt nicht ganz durch.
Ich glaube, das war ihre letzte Ausweg.
Ja, wahrscheinlich.
But someone already knew what had happened. Knew that she had committed suicide.
Sakura auf der Zeichnung sieht gar nicht tot aus, sondern als ob sie irgendwie bockig zur Seite guckt einfach nur.
Ja. Aber das hat Makoto gezeichnet, also.
Ja, gut.
Ich stell mir das gerade so vor, wie die da dieses Class Trial haben und am Ende kommt Makoto. Ich sag euch genau, was passiert ist. Und dann holt der so ein leeres Heft raus und zeichnet da in aller Ruhe so ein Comic rein.
Ja.
Guck mal, was ich gezeichnet habe. Das könnt ihr euch in den Kühlschrank hängen.
And while nobody was looking, replaced it with an empty protein can. They did all this specifically to place all the suspicion on themselves, in an attempt to guide the trial to a false conclusion. And the one who went to all that effort?
Oh no.
Was you,
Makotos Face dabei, so richtig melodramatisch.
Ja, so richtig Badass-mäßig, was überhaupt nicht zu ihm passt. Er ist der am wenigsten badassigste Charakter überhaupt.
Ich finde, bei ihm müsste jetzt auch so eine Träne runterlaufen. Das würde noch passender sein.
Ja.
That's the full truth of the case.
Hat Makoto überhaupt schon mal geheult?
Keine Ahnung, ich glaube, der hat keine
nicht,
Emotionen.
oder? Nee, der dauert
Der
bei
redet
dem
immer
so
nur
lange.
dafür. Ja, genau. Emotionen sind noch zu hoch für den, das kann er noch nicht verarbeiten.
Seine Art von Emotionen zu zeigen, ist die Selbstgespräche, die er führt.
Richtig.
Sakura took her own life. And you claim to be the killer to hide that fact. Isn't that right?
Oh.
That's what happened? But, Makoto, how did you...
Ja, wie hast du es geschafft zu denken?
Ja.
Das
How
fragen
were
uns
you
alle.
able to uncover the truth that even I couldn't discern?
Naja, er hatte ja von dir Hilfe.
Naja, er
und
hatte
von
Hilfe von den
Kyoko
Spielern.
und von den Spielern.
Huh? Oh, well, I mean,
You still haven't realized?
Es geht ja nicht darum, dass einer hier den Fall löst, sondern es ist ein Group-Effort.
We don't all act according to calculations and cost-benefit diagrams. That's what makes us so complicated. That's what you don't understand. And that's why you couldn't solve this case. See? Didn't I tell you? When you dismiss other people's feelings, it'll always come back to bite you in the end.
Dieses C zwischendrin.
Mhm.
Und am Ende auch nochmal.
Ist das schlimm?
Ja, es ist einfach nur scheiße.
Ja gut, es wirkt sich auf unsere Monokuma-Münzen aus.
Mhm. Aber wie viel Freizeit willst du noch großartig verbringen mit den paar Leuten, die noch da sind?
You made your point. Did you guys forget already? You still haven't voted yet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wie sieht denn das Punishment für jemand Totes aus? Wird der tote Körper dann noch gepunished?
Der wird öffentlich zur Schau gestellt und dann auseinandergenommen.
You
Und umdesignt.
seriously forgot?
Da wird dann eine Windmühle draus
I
gemacht
can
oder
feel
so.
my energy draining out of me. Well, whatever. You don't really have a choice anyway. You just gotta do it. Maybe you don't want to, but please grab your lever and cast your vote. So, who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Wir haben den Fall.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
In der deutschen Synchro des Animes wird Monokuma übrigens mit der SpongeBob-Stimme gesprochen.
Passt auch irgendwie.